Yes, indeed. Good morning, everybody. And we're going, or are we? And we are going to. We're gonna. Yeah. Okay. There we go. We're gonna include Lottie Dottie. All right. Why? Because she's somebody too. Good morning, everybody, including Lottie Dottie. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Top of the morning to everybody. I hope you make it a priority. I hope you make it your business. I hope you put it on your list to have a great day. I know it's hump day Wednesday, but at least you humping through the week. Come on, somebody. At least you're not stuck. They used to say, I'm going through. And then somebody turned around and said, well, at least you're not stuck. So keep on going through. Because eventually, guess what? We get to the other side. All right. All right. Look here. I need your prayers on today. I had a late night and an early morning. I was tired and couldn't go to sleep last night. I don't know what's going on. And so here we are this morning. I was tired, y'all. I was tired. But I want to talk to you real quick about something. How do I introduce this? Just jump right into it, right? Regret and responsibility. Regret and responsibility. Now, years ago, I went to a seminar that was hosted by John Searles. He was the inventor, and I believe he was also the CEO of Silk 2, which was a hair product. And I learned something in that meeting that will forever stick with me. Okay. For those of you who do not know, I used to be a licensed cosmetologist, and I did hair for many years in the city of Springfield, Massachusetts. I was Mr. Miracle's Hair Salon. What is 320 St. James Avenue? Yes, indeed. And we did some updos, y'all. I'm telling you, we cut a lot of fades and everything like that. So I did hair, both men and women. And so anyway, I got introduced to this company because someone gave me some of their product to sample, and it was a really good product. I believed in the product. And then once I got to know the company, I believed in the company, which made me believe in the product even the more. And so anyway, we went to a seminar, and in this seminar, the presenter, they was talking. And at this point, I really don't even remember exactly what that portion of the seminar was pertaining to. But this I took with me. The question was asked, what happens when you point the finger? Mm-hmm. And of course, oh yeah, you got three pointing back at you. Okay, I get that. But they brought a different perspective to the whole scenario. Okay. Now, the answer that he began to explain was when you point the finger, whatever you point the finger at, you relinquish your power to. Whatever you point the finger at, you relinquish your power to. Okay. So what does that mean? Why is that important? It's important. And what it means is if I blame you, then I've just surrendered all power to you to address, fix, or change the situation or circumstance that I'm blaming you for. Okay. And so we have to get to a point and place in our mind first and foremost. Why? Because the mind is the battleground. Okay. And so, one's perception is one's reality. So if in your mind you think I'm the problem, then I have the power to control the situation. Now, when I gather it together in my mind and understand that pointing the finger at you or them or it gives you or them the power, then I've got to change. And how do I change? By taking responsibility. If you or me or them or they are always pointing the finger, always blaming something or someone else, then they are failing to take responsibility into their own hands. Can we, you, them, us control everything? Maybe not, but we all have a portion that we can control. Okay. Case in point, this world is in an uproar. Right. You got all kind of crazy stuff going on in the headlines. I kind of even hate to, acknowledge the little notification that comes across the top of my phone because I got this stupid news app and it's almost I almost don't even want to read it. I'm at the point of almost wanting to delete it, but I'm not for other reasons. But anyway, in the midst of all this craziness that's going on, right, I cannot single-handedly stomp out racism. I cannot single-handedly stomp out hate. I cannot single-handedly, come on somebody, stop out human trafficking and drug addiction and drug over this. I can't stop it, and I can't stomp it out single-handedly. But if I take responsibility for Pookie, who lives in my neighborhood, who's strung out on crack cocaine, who's strung out on this, that, or the other, if I take responsibility for one individual, and the reason why I'm taking responsibility for him is because I have direct contact with him. I have relationship with him one way or the other. You ain't no deep relationship, but he know you and you know him. Y'all in the same neighborhood. You see each other every single day. Okay, so therefore there's a relationship. Okay, and because of that relationship, I'm going to do my part to at least try to change Pookie. Will I be successful? I don't know. But I at least owe it a try. Okay. You at least owe it a try. Stop thinking about whether or not you're going to be successful. Stop thinking about whether or not you're going to be able to accomplish or do it, but at least try. Okay. I learned this in grade school as a young lad. Nothing beats a failure but a try. If I fail at something, you know what trumps that failure? The fact that I tried, the fact that I gave it a shot. And then on top of the fact that I tried and that I gave it a shot, oh man, watch this. I'd learned something even from the failure. So if I learn something from it, it's no longer considered, categorized, or defined as a failure. Come on, that's retro philosophy, y'all. It is no longer defined, considered, or categorized as a failure. It has now literally and legally become a learning experience. Y'all too quiet up in this church. So stop being so overly concerned about whether or not you are going to fail. Step out on faith, step out on trust, step out on boldness, step out on something and give it a try, for crying out loud. Because you just might win. You just might succeed. You just might pull it off. You just might make it happen, Captain. So do it. Do it. Don't be afraid to fail, because sometimes failure is part of the success. There are some things we will never learn except for failure. Okay. And again, once you fail, and you learn from the failure, it can no longer be considered, categorized, or defined as failure, because it is now a learning experience. Okay. All right. So let me move on. So we've got to take responsibility. I can't stop all of those ugly things I stated earlier, right? But if I give it a shot with the one individual that I can reach, I can make a difference. And then my difference connects with your difference, and your difference and my difference connects with their difference. And before you know it, over time, things literally have changed. And that's what it's all about, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts. It's all about change. Okay. So we've got to take responsibility. Now, check this out. Regret or responsibility. Okay. Now, I believe that there comes a time in our life where we will be faced with one or the other. Okay. And if we don't take responsibility, then we are left with more regret. Now, when it comes to responsibility, sometimes it's daunting. Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes it's challenging. Sometimes it's so many things. And some of those things that are so many, and some of our thinking can be excuses not to do it, not to try, not to take on that responsibility. But if you don't take on the responsibility, I promise you, you will be left with regret. Responsibility absent of action equals regret. Responsibility, because see, some of us we've taken on the responsibility and done nothing with it. So you've taken the responsibility, but you put no action to the responsibility. So responsibility absent action equals regret. I'm 45. I don't want to be 55, 60, 65, 70. I don't want to get older is my point and be sitting down regretting not have tried. Look at here. My grandbaby, and Lord knows I hope I have plenty more grandbabies. I've just got one and I hope I have more. I want to say congratulations to my niece, Nashira, on birthing her little daughter into the world on, I think it was this morning. Yep. Affectionately known by her uncle, as Nugget. Yeah, Chicken Nugget. And so I want to say congratulations to my niece, and I can't wait to meet my great niece. And so my little great niece and my little grandbaby and my other little great nieces, Ava, and then Eli, and all the little young generation that's being birthed and coming up. When they sit down with Retro, yeah, I'm gonna have some stories to tell them, true stories too. No, exaggeration. Well, when you tell a story, you got to put a little bit on it, just to, but I'm gonna have plenty of stories to tell my grandbabies and my little nieces and my little nephews, and these are going to be stories of responsibility and real talk. Let's be real. There will be stories of regret. We all have a story with a little bit of regret. But see, sometimes that's how we learn the importance of responsibility. Yeah. And so I'm going to have stories to tell them. Why? Because I've stepped out on faith. Sometimes, guess what? Let's be real. Sometimes I stepped out on stupidity because I didn't know any better, and I was doing the best that I could with what I had. And now I'm getting ready to step into a realm or step into an area. Step into a conversation that needs a show all for itself. And that's the mere fact that there are a lot of people who are stepping out there trying to do things, and they're doing the best they can with what they got. And then there are others who are equipped but won't empower. Yeah, there are a lot of people around us who are equipped but will not empower. Okay. Now, it's getting late. I don't want to step into something and then don't have time to really unfold it. So let me just keep on moving. So you've got responsibility. And if you don't take action, you will have regret. Okay. And I think that would be miserable for me to sit down in my latter years and say, well, when I was 22, I had an opportunity to do such and such, and I was just afraid I was going to fail. So I just didn't do it. I'm not saying this is the best philosophy. This was my philosophy when I was younger. Well, I can give it a shot, and if it doesn't work, I still have time to recuperate. See, now I'm at an age now where I don't necessarily have that luxury. And what I mean by that is I don't have as much time now as I did then. And so when I make moves now, I try to be a little bit more strategic. Why? Because I've learned from other mistakes, and I understand things a little better. But guess what? There's still more understanding for me to get. So all my OGs out there, if you're watching, remember your boy. Break me off a little knowledge, break me off a little wisdom, break me off a little, because we can't get to a place where we watch people make mistakes or go astray, and all we do is talk about what they should have did, but yet still we don't offer the proper advice. And so we've got to be careful with that, and then we say, well, I tried to advise, but they wouldn't listen. Well, I think there's a way to do it. Because sometimes we say it's advice, but in all actuality, what we're doing is we're chopping them down, and nobody wants to be chopped down. When I started doing here, I got licensed in 1995. Okay, and I opened up my shop later on that year, Miracles Hair Salon. I think it was 90. No, actually, I didn't open up. I got licensed in 95, and I didn't open up until 96. I think it was 96 or 97. Something like that. But either way, what's my point? What I learned was, because now I'm a shop owner and I'm trying to build a business and I'm trying to grow a brand and so on and so forth. And I learned that not everybody that could do here did here the way I needed here to be done. Because Miracles Hair Salon, again, I'm trying to build a brand, I'm trying to grow a business, right? And so things have to be done a certain way, right? Now, the way they do it down the road is the way they do it. And if that's what they choose to do, then great, it might work for them. But for us, we had a particular standard, we had a certain way of doing things. And so my point is, sometimes you would get people to come and they would work with you. Excuse me, they will come and work for you, but wouldn't work with you. I'll say that again. They would come and work for you, but wouldn't work with you. Okay. And why? Because they already had in their mind a way of doing things. And so what I found out was two things. Number one, sometimes you're better off with someone who is new and not already set in ways, because you can teach them the importance of why you do things the way you do things and why you want it to be done that way. Okay. Number one. But number two, not everyone that's set in their ways is to be dismissed. And what I learned was sometimes I had to take responsibility and find a way to reach the individual so that they could understand my point of view, my perspective, my reasoning. Why? Because there was value in the person. In other words, just because they do things a different way doesn't mean there's no value to them. Okay. I think sometimes what we've got to do is we've got to point the finger at ourselves and learn, what do I need to do? Because here's the deal. To be a good leader, you got to do just that. You got to lead. You don't just bark orders. You don't just set an example, but you literally lead. And sometimes in the process of leading, you've got to push. Sometimes in the process of leading, you've got to get side by side. Come on, somebody, and show somebody how to do something, teach somebody how to do something, help somebody do something. You know, it's very deep, but it's not that deep. And so I used to say it like this as it pertained to teachers. You know, let's see here. We got a comment here. Let me see who we got here. Diane Miller is in the building. Good morning, woman of God. How are you doing on today? God bless you in heaven. Smile on you. And so, Diane, what I found out is that, you know, a lot of times you will have teachers, and I went to a lot of thank you, ma'am. Thank you for being in agreement with your boy on this morning. And I went to school with my son a few times, and you know, because teachers, you know, they have this to say and that to say. And what I found out is that sometimes your child is not the problem, but it's lazy teachers that are the problem. Yeah. See, they got their degree. They're in the leader position, and they want everybody to learn what they're teaching. But sometimes their method of teaching doesn't reach everybody. So you, as the professional, come on, somebody, you've got to say, okay, these are all my students. And you don't just teach the students that get it, but you got to reach the students that don't get it. And sometimes that means you may have to change your approach or your style of teaching. You know, maybe you've got to do a little bit more research in your lesson preparation. But as the leader, as the professional, as the adult, you leave no child behind. You know, if you've got to do some deeper studying, because, you know, no pun intended, but you know, a lot of times, you know, our kids are not really understood because they're not dealing with our kind of kids on a daily basis, you know, other than in the classroom. And how many know that the classroom setting is a different setting than real life settings? And sometimes it's real life settings that affect their ability to grasp certain things in the classroom because of other issues that they have, you know. And so I just think that as a professional, it is your responsibility to reach all of your students. Okay. And so we, as pastors, as leaders, as teachers, and even as husbands, I'll throw that in there, because the husband is the head of the house. And I'm not talking about stepping on a wife or anything, but when I say you're the head of the house, what I mean is the buck stops with you. And I'm not talking about because I said so, but I'm talking about if that light bill ain't paid, you know, you can't, well, but baby, why you didn't go to work? No, that's on you. My wife happens to work. You know, I didn't want her to work initially in the beginning, but she wanted to, you know, she wanted to get a job. I was happy with her just staying home, being a stay-at-home mom, but she wanted to, you know, and so so she works, you know, and she helps out around the house financially and otherwise, you know what I'm saying? Because we're a team, you know. But if my wife, as a matter of fact, my wife has already told me, she said, you got X amount of time and I'm done. So she's like, in other words, set something up, get ready, because at such and such time I'm done. And I'm like, okay, cool. Why? Because the buck stops here. If she came home today and said, baby, I ain't going back to work tomorrow, you know what? I'm gonna say, okay, okay, all right, I got it, because the buck stops with me. Not as though now when it comes to decisions, hey baby, such and such, what you think? What's your opinion? And for a long time, she thought that, well, I don't know why you asked me. You're gonna do what you want to do anyway, and that is true. And so I had to get to a place where I had to realize that her opinion was important, her say was important, and she needed to be included. I thought I was including her, but really I wasn't. You know what I'm saying? And so we've got beyond it. That's what I love about growth. Just real quick, let me pause. Don't give up on what you got right now. What you are is in the midst of growth. Okay. What you have is good. What you have has worth and it has value. Okay. You're just going through some growing pains. Come on, somebody. We don't always see eye to eye on everything, but sometimes when we are what the enemy wants us to make, but wants to make us believe is disagreeable, whatever. No, it's a growth opportunity. Come on, where my women at on this morning? Now you don't want to see the new growth, but the new growth is a sign. Come on now, that your stuff is growing underneath. I mean, it looked bad until you go to the hairdresser and you sit down in my chair and I slap that silk two on that thing and lay it down and perm that thing, and she just silky smooth, right? And so what was once ugly, what you once tried to hide, y'all know y'all be walking down the street doing that because it's time for a perm and you don't want to scratch it, because if you scratch it and then you get the chemical on it, it's gonna burn quick and everything like that. So y'all be walking down the road, beating yourself on the head, and you don't want nobody to see the new growth. But when the proper product is applied and it's dyed and laid to the side and all that good stuff, now all of a sudden you walk around flinging that stuff, and so what's my point? My point is, what's ugly right now is just indicative that you are growing. It's indicative that what you have is worth attending to and maintaining. See, some of y'all saw that new growth and you went through that wig on, and the wig was a quick fix. And that quick fix got you lazy. And then you sat around, and then when you finally got tired of the wig, you pull that thing off and your stuff was all matted and just a mess, because it hadn't been tended to, because it was going through that ugly stage. Look, I don't care how ugly it is. Tend to it. All right. Tend to it. I'm telling you the truth, though, Diane. Okay, let me see here. So we've got to take responsibility, y'all. It's 8:25. I got to get ready to make my exit, y'all. Okay, so regret and responsibility. I don't want you to give up on what you got right now because it seems like you're not making any headway. I don't want you to give up on what you got right now because it seems like it's not getting the lesson. It's not getting the message. That's what I like about Jesus. If y'all go ahead and read the Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, somewhere around them parts right there, you'll see Jesus doing the teachings. And the reason why I say Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, because that's the gospel, and that's where you see the letters in red, where Jesus is literally doing teaching. And sometimes throughout the epistles you will see reference of what he said, but throughout the gospel, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is where you see the letters in red, which is when you see the letters in red, that's Jesus talking, and Jesus, and so my point is he taught in parables. Okay, one of my favorite parables is the parable of the sower who went to sow seed, and the seed fell on stony ground and thorny ground, and some fell by the wayside, but then it was that fell on good ground. Okay, read it; it's a great parable. But what's my point? My point is he doesn't go to a physician with a farmer parable. He spoke it in a way that the hearer could understand and at least grasp the concept, so he can extract the wisdom. Okay. And some of us are missing people because we're trying to be so deep. And these folks is just on the surface. Why you digging so deep? Just hit me with something simple so I can understand and grasp the concept so I can then extract the wisdom. Can I get an amen up in this church on this morning? Okay. And so Jesus taught in parables. Why? Because it was effective. Why? Because he wanted to reach those he was talking to. Why? Because he understood who he was talking to. See, some of us, we are trying to be so deep and so this, that, and the other, because you don't even understand who you have in front of you. You don't even understand who you have around you. You don't even understand who you're dealing with. So what do we got to do? Before we go barking orders, I learned that I had to take time to get to know. Who is it? Oh man, Percy Sledge. Come here, Percy. Yeah, Percy. Yeah, come here, Percy. Take time to know her. Come on, Percy, sang that thing. I can't sing it, but he said, you got to take time to know her. Come on, somebody. And so we've got to really get to a place where we take time to know who it is that we have in front of us, who it is that we're dealing with, who it is that I had in my shop. And dependent on who it was would determine the approach that I would need to take. Because I've got 2 children. I don't know how many y'all got right now. I wish, and they grown. I wish they was young, and I wish I had about 4 or 5 of them. The way that Stimmy was hitting, I was I looked at my wife. I said, we should have had a whole bunch more of these jokers if we'd have known this. Because I'm saying, but anyway, I got 2 children, and they're young adults now. My baby Tajiana is 20 years old. Okay, and so what's my point? My point is, we could not raise them the same way. We raised them under the same rules, under the same principles, but we had to approach each child differently. Yeah, I mean, that's just a fact. And if there's a parent on here that will debate me on that, then I say you are lying out your behind, because there are no 2 children under one roof that are exactly the same. No, it don't work like that. It don't work like that. You got robots if that's the case, and my chaps certainly ain't no robots. Okay, so let's see here. Let me get ready to get out of here. But I do want to pop this on the screen. And again, some of this is repetitive from the previous shows, but I want you to understand that it gets better. Okay, but you got to take responsibility if you want it to get better. Otherwise, you might be riddled with regret. You might be, reeking with regret. You might be, I don't know. I'm trying to think of another R word to go with, but you're gonna be dealing with regret if you don't take responsibility. Because what happens is later on you find out that, you know what, the ball was in my court. I blamed them all that time, but in all actuality, the ball was in my court. You want to know a great sign to determine whether or not it's your fault or their fault? If you keep being presented with the same scenario over and over and over, at some point you got to ask the question, maybe it's not them, maybe it's me. And so that's a question that I ask myself quite a bit, because I don't want to be fooling myself. You understand what I'm saying? Because, see, it's not, Sister Nichols, it's not the washing machine, because we blame the washing machine. Oh, my wife don't know how to do laundry. She's shrinking all my clothes. It's not the washing machine that's your problem. It's the refrigerator. And we blaming the washing machine. We blaming the one doing the laundry, and it ain't their fault. And really, it ain't even the refrigerator's fault. It's your fault for being gluttonous. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we blame other sources and other things and other people and other scenarios, this and the other, when in all actuality, it's us. Well, they should have never left that money out in the open. No, you should have never been a thief, and you should have left them folks' money where it was. Well, that's entrapment. Well, you should have never been. You should no. It may be entrapment. It may be, they may have been careless. They may not should have left it in the opening, but they did. And if you wasn't a thief, you wouldn't have taken them people money. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. And then we talk about racial profiling, and yeah, there's a lot of that going on. Don't get it twisted. I tell you, we experienced something the other day, and I sit there and I even said it was gonna happen. I said to my wife as I was, and then sure enough, and then just like that, God intervened and shut it down. And I just said, wow, look at God. But anyway, we talk about all those things, but then we don't talk about the responsibility, or excuse me, I should say the role that we played, which leads me to the next point. Let me get there real quick because I got to get out of here. Okay. What's the role that you play in the problem. I posted something the other day, and I need for you to go down my personal timeline. And if you're watching from my personal timeline, I need for you to also make sure you join or go over and like Retro Philosophy. Okay. But on my timeline, I posted something. It's not what they said that was the problem. It's how what they said was presented. Okay. And so sometimes that's what people will do. They will tell a story about a person or about a situation or about a scenario, right? But they will spin their version on it. And I had a situation to occur in my life maybe about a year or so ago. And it was another individual, and some things was, going on and I didn't agree with. And then and so I brung it to a higher authority's attention. And they was like, well, we need to have a conversation. The three of us need to get together. I said, yes, sir, absolutely. And the other person refused. They would not join in on. I was willing to go wherever we needed to meet up to have this conversation. Why? Because I was more concerned with this thing working out than I was my feelings, his feelings, they feelings, this, that, or the other, because that's what's important. We don't always see eye to eye, but what we need to look for are the solutions. And the individual would not partake in this conversation. Hurt my heart, hurt my feelings bad, and it hurt my feelings not because they weren't willing to have the conversation, but because of the love and the respect and the, that I held for the individual. I never thought that would have happened in a billion years. And to this day, it still hurts. But guess what? It's life. It happens and we have to move on. Right. And so when someone can bring, my mama used to say, if a dog will bring a bone, he'll carry a bone. But anyway, when someone comes to you with a story about somebody and they're not willing to include the person that they're talking about in the conversation, don't trust it with your life. That's for doggone show. Don't even trust it with your roach's life. And I hope you ain't got no roaches, but I don't know. I'm just saying, because if you come to me about Ray Ray, the first time I'm like, well, Ray shouldn't have done that. Second time I'll be like, well, daggone, he, but at some point I got to be like, well, let's get Ray in here so we can all have this discussion. Let's talk about this thing. I promise you will find out that the story they've been telling ain't the way the story goes. Look at here, folks. There is always three sides to a story: yours, mine, and the truth. Yours, mine, and the truth. Okay, three sides to every story. I'm going to tell the story the way I saw the story in my head. You're going to tell the story the way you saw it. But God is he's the silent listener in every conversation. Watch this. And the truth will always come to light. I found out a long time ago that you cannot battle lies with the truth, because you're going to tell the truth and they're going to keep on telling lies. So the way you deal with lies is you just let them lie. Okay. Anyway, so it's not always what was said, but how they told you what was said. And then you got to take into consideration, why are you telling me this? And so what is your role in the problem? Whatever your problem is, ask yourself, what is your role in that problem? Are you taking responsibility? If not, you're going to deal with regret sooner or later. Okay. Let's see. That's it, folks. I'm out of here. I probably got myself in enough trouble as it is. But guess what? It doesn't have to be your philosophy. It's Retro Philosophy. It's your boy Retro with you on this morning. And look here, I want you to know that we love you with the love of God. I'm not perfect, but I ain't playing. So, that's just real talk for you. And there's a whole lot of stuff going on in this world, and we don't have time to miss opportunity to maximize on things, and then have to be, dealing with regret later for not doing what we could have done when we should have done what we could have done. It's a big world out there. So put on your big boy drawers and make it happen. I'm out of here, y'all. You guys have a great day. Make sure you join me. Well, actually, I'll be on tonight later on for Upper Praise Ministries Bible study. If you want to holler at us tonight, I think unless God says something different, we're gonna be talking about fear. Anybody scared out there? We're gonna talk a little bit about that later on today. So make sure you're going over to Upper Praise Ministries of Mooresville and click like and be a part of our virtual Bible study on tonight. Make sure you also go on over to, I'm telling you, y'all just bear with me. Make sure you're going over there to YouTube and like our page over there, Retro Philosophy. and that way you can stay up to date with us when we go live. As some of you may know, and if you do not know, I'm going to inform you we are getting ready for our cross country trip. My lovely wife and I, we will be traveling to California, making several stops in between. And if you want to be a part of that, make sure you go over to Retro Philosophy and join that page. I will be creating another event for that, because a lot of the filming that we're going to be doing and the footage that we're going to be collecting will be shared there and there only. So if you want to follow us on that trip, make sure you like and become a part of that group. And this is a way that you can help us out if you so desire. You don't have to, but if you so desire, you can go over to the Cash App and to the Cash App $ Retro Philosophy. Okay, you can do it just like that, and you can show some love there. And as you show love, we're going to show some love right back at you. We want to say good morning to Ishmael. We want to say good morning to David. We want to say good morning to everybody who pressed play. Good morning to you and everyone else who clicked on today. Tiffany Nichols, aka Icy, good morning to you. Hope you guys all have a blessed day. Sister Sandra Rucker in the building. God bless you and heaven smile on you as well. If you don't take responsibility, you will have to deal with regret. Okay, responsibility minus action equals regret. Do what you got to do to make it happen. It's your boy Retro. And on that note, I'm out. God bless you. See ya.